Are you thinking about starting or nourishing a career in menstrual cycle health? Then consider joining our 9-month online holistic hormone and cycle coaching certification training. In this training, you get science-backed and evidence-based education, as well as teachings about the somatic aspects of having a menstrual cycle, functional nutrition, hormone testing, and much, much more. We will have incredible live group sessions, and you will get guidance from me. There will also be amazing guest teaching lectures from experts in the field, and at the end you will receive an official certificate of completion that is globally recognized. As a listener of the Planting Seeds podcast, you receive an additional €100 off when you use the code PODCAST when you sign up. Click on the link in the show notes to learn more. I'm just going to start by saying I love having strong, beautiful women on my podcast who are so smart, who love research, who are so in tune with their bodies, and who love the earth and the plants that grow on it. And Shinta, my guest for this episode, is definitely one of these women. We met years ago when I was still living in Utrecht, and I've always been fascinated and amazed by Shinta's company, what she stands for, how she communicates it with the world, and I'm so honored to have her on. So Shinta is the founder and CEO of Heal Mary. She is a mother of 2 and a writer. And all of her life, she has witnessed her loved ones struggle with their mental health, and she really felt frustrated about the lack of natural tools and education that was available. And through the stories of Rastafarians and the encounters with sadhus in India, she got reintroduced to cannabis as a healing modality. And cannabis has also personally helped her deal with back pain, chronic tension headaches, and has sparked her creativity like nothing else. And then she embarked on a journey of studying everything she could about cannabis. And she found out about the unique synergy between women's bodies, cyclical bodies, and cannabis. And she is now dedicated to spread this wisdom and knowledge about this medicinal plant through storytelling, as well as creating an ethical, high-quality brand that offers high-quality products that contain CBD. And her company is called Heal Mary. And on this podcast, oh my goodness, we touched on so many juicy topics. So we start by how Shinta got introduced to CBD, to cannabis. What is her story with it, and how did she start working with this plant ally, which is a very beautiful story. And then we kind of dive into okay, what is this endocannabinoid system now actually, and how does it work? We dove into the benefits of CBD and what she has seen over at Heal Mary with her customers. And then we dive into the juicy topics of what CBD can mean for cyclical health. And she also supports it with research, which I really love. And then we dive into even more juicy topics. We talk about pleasure enhancement and CBD, and we speak about how people can start working with CBD and what she recommends. And we end with some little drops of wisdom that she really wants to share with us. And yeah, I can't wait for you to listen to this episode. I can't wait for you to tell us what you thought about it. And if you have any questions for either me or Shinta, all the information is in the show notes, how you can reach us. So if you happen to have any questions, please let us know, and we're happy to answer them. Enjoy listening.
Hello, friends. My name is Iris Josephina. I'm your host, and you are listening to the Planting Seeds podcast. On the Planting Seeds podcast, we explore how we can cultivate a more gentle relationship with our cyclical bodies, the earth, each other, and the world around us through using our senses, science, the subtle, and the secret. On Planting Seeds, we talk about all those topics you've always wanted to talk about. We are shamelessly opening up the conversations that we all so desperately need to settle in our precious bodies and relate to each other in a more open, truthful, and empowered way. I'm so glad you're here today.
Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Planting Seeds podcast. Like I shared in the introduction, I have Shinta with me today. We have known each other for a long time, from when I was still living in Utrecht in the Netherlands. And I just love what she does with her CBD business. And I'm super grateful that you are here today with us to share.
Thank you. I'm grateful that you're inviting me. And I'm a real fan of your work as well.
Thank you. So before we dive into the complexities of CBD, can you maybe just share a little bit of your own story with CBD? How did you start working with this beautiful plant ally?
Yeah. So I think it started around 10 years ago when I started to explore medicinal plants. And I was on my own personal journey back then. And I guess the fear I had for all these kinds of like master plants made place for curiosity and hope. And well, I come from a family where mental health problems were always very much present. And I saw the impact of that, of, mental health disorders. And as I grew older, I was really determined to approach my own mental health preventative. And a few years later, I was working as a creative manager at an agency, and I developed severe tension headaches, like chronic tension headaches. Found myself struggling with that on the daily, tried everything, but actually only cannabis helped. And each time I smoked cannabis, like a certain kind of cannabis, it just evaporated for the duration of around like 8 hours. So cannabis really helped me get my social life back and enjoy myself and be creative and laugh again. So that's where it started. And then I started reading about the therapeutic benefits, and I got really excited. Also have to mention that before I started working at that agency, I also had a master's degree in criminal law, and I was always very interested already in the social justice system, drug laws, the injustice, and the war on drugs. After that, I studied journalism, and my end project also focused on stigma and families of incarcerated people and how they deal with stigma. And then in the end, before I started Heal Mary, I really got fascinated about women's bodies and the magical way they work and how they work together with CBD and cannabis. And I think that started around the preconception phase of my first pregnancy. I also stumbled on you on LinkedIn, actually.
Thank you for sharing that. I always find it so special how we all have our own like unique journeys when it comes to specific plants. And I think people who are just a little bit more open and want to connect to the earth in many different ways, like all of us have our own unique connection with plants and plant allies. And if I speak for myself, I think I started using CBD, a long time ago as well, maybe 10 years ago.
Wow.
For like very severe periods that I had a long time ago. And I think it's so unique how we can connect with a plant. I love that you also incorporated the social justice aspect of all of this, because so many of the medicinal plants that actually help us are so stigmatized and so tabooed, while there is so much magic in them and so much support that can be found.
Definitely.
And maybe for people to understand, because I feel that when you talk about CBD or hemp oil, people automatically connect it to marijuana, and marijuana has like this bad rep these days. So maybe it's a good idea to maybe on the one hand explain what CBD is, and then also explain what the endocannabinoid system in our own body is, because you already mentioned that our bodies interact beautifully with CBD, but maybe not everybody knows how that works.
Yeah.
So could you share your wisdom on that with us?
Definitely. Well, I knew about the ECS, so the endocannabinoid system, before I found out that there's a even more special synergy between female bodies and cannabis, because we have an abundance of receptors for cannabis and CBD in our reproductive organs, vagina, vulva, oviduct, labia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a real mind is blown moment for me. I also knew already that women have always used cannabis to heal themselves. We steamed cannabis, we made vaginal cannabis medicine, herbal medicines, we used it during wedding nights. In Turkey, we've used it from India to Africa to relieve PMS, heal the womb. It was basically in every woman's first aid kit.
Mm.
But obviously, also for me, it was still kind of mysterious how it all worked. What's that endocannabinoid system? How does it work? Why do we have one? And why do we have a system that's named after the cannabis plant, like after weed? So basically, this is like I'm going to explain. Basically, it's discovered in the 90s when researchers wanted to know what THC is weed. So it's the substance in the cannabis plant that gets you high and that's psychoactive. And researchers wanted to know what that substance is doing in our body and why it works. And then they stumbled upon this essential system, which is our largest receptor system. And it's in our body. It's everywhere from we have receptors in our brain, in our central nervous system, in our organs, like everywhere. And that system, that ECS, picture it like your body's secret agent keeping things in balance. So it's like a super cool network of receptors and molecules spread throughout your body and regulating all sorts of stuff like your mood, appetite, sleep, pain, all the important stuff that you can't live without. And those molecules, so you have the receptors and you have molecules. And those molecules are called endocannabinoids. And endo means internally. So those are the cannabinoids that your body makes. But your body doesn't always do a good job of making those cannabinoids or making enough of those. It can be physiologically or it can be lifestyle dependent choices. But a lot of us are deficient in endocannabinoids. And there's ways to supplement. So you can, working out works very well, fish oil, but also phytocannabinoids. And those are plant cannabinoids, which is CBD and cannabis. I have to explain the difference also between a cannabis and CBD. In the end, it all comes from the same plant. Cannabis, that's the family's name, but we use hemp for other reasons than we use cannabis. So you can make CBD oil from hemp and from cannabis, but hemp can also be used to build houses, for cement, for I think around 70,000 products can made from hemp. We made sails, we made paper, everything. You can make everything from hemp. So that's one thing. And then you have the CBD and THC. And THC is not found in hemp. There's only a tiny bit in hemp. So if you want to make CBD oil with THC, you can use cannabis for that. You can also use hemp for that, but to make it less complex, let's for now stuck with this distinction. So if you have CBD oil in the Netherlands and in a lot of countries, they take out the THC because that's the illegal part, because that makes us high. But you need THC to begin with to create a really good CBD oil because you need all the cannabinoids to work together and then they create entourage effects. That means that when they all work together, the effect for your body is better. And there's a lot of other factors also that determine if a CBD oil is good in quality or bad, but those are the basics. So how CBD works in your body is basically it comes along and it kind of high fives the receptors, helping them to do their job better and bringing your body into harmony. And that's different from how THC works because THC binds to the receptors. And that's actually why it makes you euphoric, high, and why it can help with acute pain, spasms, and pleasure. So that's the difference. Is that clear to you?
Yeah, it's very clear to me. Also, because I know quite a lot about it, but I think you explained it very well for people to properly understand how it works and for people to get that, when you take CBD, you won't get high. Like, it's not possible.
Yeah, you won't get high. Actually, it's the other way around. CBD makes you less high. They're both two substances in the plant and they work together. So actually, I always tell people who use THC, who smoke weed, I always tell them to supplement with CBD because it makes you less high. It keeps it in balance.
Yeah. I feel for me, when I take CBD, it's really rooting. It's very grounding.
Mm.
It's a very grounding experience. Like, I feel that my mind opens and my focus enhances, but I feel very rooted in my body when I take it.
Oh, that's very
Yeah.
interesting. I hear that a lot, and I'm not sure why that is. I sometimes connect it to Ayurveda, and I've read some stuff that it works in the same way as when you're very high in Vata energy, air energy, that you can ground with Kapha, with earth, the elements. And CBD has I think the earth element is also maybe very clear because it comes from the earth and from a plant. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, and maybe also just what you explained earlier, that like our own body in our endocannabinoid system makes cannabinoids, the endocannabinoids. But I think if we take the CBD, the phytocannabinoid, and it starts interacting with our own system, our body behaves in the same way as it would make its own endocannabinoids.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, the natural way of the system is to literally root us and ground us and improve our digestion, improve our, stress response in a way that it calms our bodies. So I think it's just like it works like an enhancer. Like, you take something that supports the functioning of the internal system that is already there.
Yeah, definitely. It supports your homeostasis. So it helps you achieve natural balance.
Yeah.
And we call that homeostasis. And for women in particularly,
Yeah.
because we have all those receptors in our reproductive system, basically all the complaints that we try to tackle with gynecology. Is it that how we say it in English?
Yeah.
Those are also all complaints that cannabis can help with. From what you're saying, hormonal imbalances, mood swings, PMS, sex drive, PMDD, endometriosis. And I don't know a lot about endometriosis, for example, but there are some studies that show that it can help because it lowers inflammation. So that's very interesting.
And I would even say that if we look at cannabis, if I look at it from like a herbal perspective, I would even categorize CBD in the same category as adaptogens, like adaptogenic mushrooms or like ashwagandha, rhodiola.
Exactly. Same.
Yeah, you just explained that CBD works to support homeostasis in the body, and that's exactly what an adaptogen does. So for me, when I use CBD and when I interact with CBD, it's the same kind of relationship that I have with CBD as I have with my rhodiola, with my ashwagandha, with my lion's mane, with my reishi. Like, they are all in the same supportive category.
I think that's the best way to look at it. It also helps looking at it in that way because it makes you look at it in a way that it can support you and that it can be an ally and not an enemy and it only gets you high, because it doesn't. So I think that's a really nice way to look at it. And it's also how I explain it. It's adaptive. It goes through your system and harmonizes and detects whether this balance is and works on this balance or imbalance first and then goes through the other complaint. Sometimes people take CBD for their sleep, but they have a bigger problem in the digestive area. And they're like, how come it doesn't work yet for my sleep? And then I'll tell them, probably you have inflammation in another place that's more severe. But yeah, it's interesting also how you use it. Do you also like combine it with other adaptogens then?
Sometimes I do. Yeah, I have found that CBD and reishi go really well together.
Mm-hmm.
I love the combination. I won't take them like at the same time, but I will choose them on the same day. Same for lion's mane.
Yeah, I use lion's mane as well for stress management. I read an article actually also about how lion's mane and CBD work together and how they can boost the effect
Oh, cool.
of, anti-stress effect. But reishi, what does reishi do again?
Reishi is mainly an immunological support. So it's an immune
Mm.
booster. It supports the immune system.
And CBD as well. So I think that's that's even more effective than. Yeah, I think it's also good to mention that sometimes people think CBD is a wonder that works for all and for everything, but you really have to see it. You have to approach it holistically, like you're doing, together with other supplements. But also, for example, if you still drink a lot of alcohol, or if you're still eating a lot of processed food or doing other stuff that messes with your immune system and your nervous system and the other systems, then it's not going to help you. So that's also important to know.
Yeah, it also brings, for me, looking at a plant in that way and really using it in a supportive way, it also remains the sacredness of the plant. Like we have come so accustomed to like have everything at our disposal and just taking, like how people use coffee or other substances or support that they use. But sometimes it's just, we don't need that much. And it's also this intuitive relationship we can build with a plant to know, like, okay, now I feel that I need you. And I feel that kind of wisdom of interacting with a plant is often lost because people go like, oh, have you read the research about this specific plant? But sometimes it's really not about the research. It's about hearing your body and listening to your body and feeling what is the plant ally that I can receive support from now.
I love that. Yeah, and I think that also goes for cannabis because there's thousands and thousands of strains, and for every complaint there's a strain, and you can't. There's so many differences, and you have to approach every strain, every type of cannabis in another way, and you have to always look at where am I now, what do I need, and what can the plant offer me, but not in a way that you're misusing or overusing. And I always tell people, I'm not here to promote as much as cannabis as possible. I'm here to promote as little as possible.
I love that.
Yeah, how can we even lower the dosage even more to a point that we do get the benefits, but we're not over consuming and we're not worsening our complaints? Because that can also happen.
Yeah.
You can get anxiety if you use too much, but you can get less anxiety if you use a little bit. And now I'm talking about THC because CBD won't get you anxiety if you use a lot. But I always look at the whole plant and not just one out of 100 cannabinoids because CBD is just one and they all have benefits, So yeah, I love that how you approach it.
Yeah, it's over the years I've really learned how to like connect to the root of a plant, like where does it come from? What is it used for? How did my ancestors use this particular plant? And not just go like, oh, let me just try this because, I've definitely had my years of like mindlessly smoking too much weed, like totally guilty.
You'll go through that.
Who hasn't done that when you live in the Netherlands where it's legal, right?
Yeah.
But over the years, I've really learned to respect the plants, respect where it comes from, because oh my God, there is so much bad weed
Oh my God, yeah.
going around these days that is like sprayed and full of pesticides, and I don't even want to know about it. But you were talking earlier about the benefits of cannabis and specifically CBD. What are the benefits that you have seen over at Heal Mary and what your customers report to you?
Yeah.
Because we haven't mentioned, but you actually sell high quality CBD in the form of droplet bottles. Could you speak to the products that you're selling and also the benefits that people have shared with you?
Definitely. So yeah, we focus specifically on women's bodies and CBD. And we've developed the product that we developed that I'm most proud of is pleasure and relief oil. with CBD. And
Love that one.
yeah, thank you.
Highly recommend everybody go get it.
It's 100% natural, and it has a lot of other plant stuff in there. And it also has a natural emollient, which makes it suitable as a lube or as a pre-lube if you use latex condoms, because then it's less compatible. But it's a holistically working product because it softens, it's anti-inflammatory. You can use it vaginally. Actually, it's developed together with a microbiologist from Harvard to make sure it's like 100% safe to use within the vagina.
That is so cool. I didn't know the Harvard part. I love that.
Me neither at first, because I worked with a small laboratory. I wanted to work with a female-owned lab with people that have a vulva who make the product. And we worked on it for 2 years. I think you even tested an earlier sample.
I did. Yeah.
I think that was still the one that smelled a lot like weed, which was a lot of people that tested it. That was the one complaint, that it smelled like weed. And so we developed a natural sense.
I actually love that smell.
Yeah, thank you. So, the first smell was very weedy, and now it smells like peaches. But that smell was developed with a Harvard biologist, because you make a product which you can use vaginally, but it's scented, But it's natural, so it's very, very safe to use, and it's anti-inflammatory. And what CBD does, it promotes blood flow through the genitals and to the erectile tissue. So it helps you get wet naturally if you use it as a lube. But it also promotes muscle relaxation, which is also very, very helpful during labor. I used it during labor for pelvic muscles to help relax pelvic muscles, to soften. I used it for, what's it called, the massage you do in the last weeks? What's it called again?
Oh, the perineum massage.
Perineum massage, yeah. And if you use it topically, or if you dip your tampon or menstrual cup in it, it has analgesic properties, so it's pain relieving, but it also tells your pain receptors to feel the pain less, to detect the pain less. And then you can use it topically on the stomach for menstrual cramps, PMS. I really love it. I'm really proud of that product. But then we also have drops, which you can use under the tongue, orally, or sublingually, made from organic plants from Italy, sun grown, which is much, much better for the quality of the CBD. And then we have bath bombs with CBD, which are like a mini retreat. If you have a bath with a bath bomb, I'll tell you afterwards, it's like walking on clouds, and you sleep very well. You make your skin very soft. What else? Oh, we have the herbal mood mixes, which actually don't contain CBD or THC, because you're not allowed to sell CBD flower in the Netherlands. So
Ah, okay.
just the drops, but not the flowers, or not the stuff that you can smoke. CBD as flower is very good smokable, and it really helps with anxiety, acute pain, stress. And so you can use our herbal mix with CBD or THC, so with weed or CBD weed, but it does contain other herbs. And we have like soft life and herbal and mystical. Those are two different types of mood mixes, and they help you get into another mood, because a lot of herbs are smokable. You probably know that.
Yeah.
A lot of them, from lotus flower to blue lotus to chamomile to raspberry leaf, and they all have benefit.
Yeah, I smoked raspberry leaf. I smoked roses, lavender,
Roses, lavender,
mullein.
mullein. So those herbs are all in the mood mixes. Those are the products. And yeah, so these are all specifically designed to help women with complaints. And what I hear a lot, what people report to me, because I get DMs and emails a lot, and people are telling me they feel less anxious, they sleep better, they find pain relief, they have less PMS and menstrual cramps. I get the feedback a lot that menstruation soften after regular use of CBD.
Yeah, I hear that too.
Yeah, it's because regular use of CBD helps regulate our own cannabinoids. Or to be more specific, if you want to get nerdy, what CBD does in your body, it stops your body from making enzymes that break down endocannabinoids. So that means that the endocannabinoids, stay in your body longer. So your own good stuff stays in your body longer. That's what CBD does.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and THC works in a different way. It binds to the receptor, so it adds stuff. And that's really good when you have a real deficiency and you don't have enough receptors. So if you have Crohn's disease, cancer, and some other problems in your system, then you really need THC. And THC is better for acute pain and CBD for chronic pain.
Yeah, there's actually also been a lot of research on migraines
Mm-hmm.
and fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, stuff like that. There have been clinical trials that have been proving that adding cannabinoids to our endocannabinoid system can actually support our bodies.
I reckon that's because are all these complaints, do they all have a cause in inflammation? Because I know migraine is an inflammation problem. What about fibromyalgia? Is that?
Yeah, they all have their roots in inflammation.
Yeah, and we're all inflamed.
Yeah, chronically.
Exactly. So yeah, you have to do a lot of stuff to stay to reverse that system or that process. And actually, when you look at hemp and CBD, it was always in the stuff that the animals ate that we ate. And yeah, we used to consume it naturally, but not anymore. And of course, we used to have a lot of less toxins in the air. We ate better. We had less stress, less pressure. So that all doesn't help.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel that there is such a big movement happening these days where people are really trying to find their ways back to the earth. And with that also comes like a reappreciation or rediscovery of herbs that have been around like since the dawn of humanity. And it's so beautiful to see this happening and also seeing people appreciate the herbs, but also want to learn about the herbs.
Definitely.
Because I feel that, 10 years ago when I started to use CBD, it was just like a hip thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, try this new thing, CBD, cool. But what I'm seeing now is that people are actually interested. They're like, okay, but how does it work? Where does it come from? How is it supporting me? How can I make sure that I support small local businesses that will also respect the earth and how a herb is grown?
Yeah, definitely.
And I love that about you and your products because you have so meticulously like researched and figured out like what is the best way to grow these
Mm-hmm.
products, like who are growing the products in the most respectful way towards the earth. And
Yes.
you mentioned like using natural sunlight instead of like putting them inside of these glass houses and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really beautiful
Yeah,
to.
that took me a while, a few years to find that farm, and the CBD business, it's not that open. It's not that inviting for new entrepreneurs. So yeah, I really had to dig. And then I found this one guy who was really, really willing to help me and he put me on the right path. Yeah. Really thankful for that. But also curious how your work connects to that, I think, newly found. Is it a new part of your mission, that whole connection to like rediscovering the earth and what it has to offer? Or did I just miss that?
Yeah, it's something I have personally always been very passionate about this, but I never like really openly shared about it because for a lot of people it also sounds woo-woo. And I feel that my connection really comes from more like witchy practices. Like I've always considered myself like this little witch who just loves her herbs. And I just feel always really connected and I'm like naturally delighted like a child when I find like wild rosemary or wild thyme and really seeing it in its natural habitat. And it's something that I've come to appreciate over the years and really, focus on like, what is my location? Because as you know, I moved to many places.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always made it part of my daily habit to look at the world around me. What are the native plants growing here? How are the people using them? And it's just something that I'm personally, like a hobby, like very much interested in, but it interweaves with my work as well, because a lot of the work that I do and the ancestry of the work that I do literally comes from the witches and the wise women who use the herbs,
Definitely.
And living in line with your cycle is a reflection of living in line with the cycles of the earth. And, as you know, it's so connected. So learning about the cycles of plants and which herbs grow in which season is just a personal interest of mine and something that I just find really important.
Yeah, I can see how it's super connected, of course. Yeah. Do you use herbs? How do you integrate that into enhance cyclical health, for example?
So I work a lot with teas. So I will have a lot of the herbs that you also have in your herbal blends that you smoke. Like I love blending different types of teas that I will ingest. So I will drink them, but I will also use them as vaginal steaming herbs to really allow them to be absorbed by my body, like a little yoni sauna.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll just smoke small batches of herbs as well, like a little ritual. I don't do that so often anymore because I feel that sometimes the herbs are a little bit too intense on my throat.
Mm-hmm.
But I work a lot with teas and I work a lot with tinctures. I don't make tinctures myself, but I have a couple of like small companies that I trust that make beautiful tinctures, like combinations of herbs in alcohol
Alcohol, yeah.
that really, take the essence of the plant so that you can use them in small batches. And I love oils. I love herbal oils. So essential oils that are made from plants or plants that had a meaning in history. So I've recently been working a lot with spikenard.
Oh, never heard of that one.
Spikenard is the plant that Mary Magdalene made the oil of that she anointed Jesus with.
Wow. That's deep.
So very random.
That's deep. Yeah. Not random, but deep. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been like rediscovering herbs in many different ways. Sometimes I also like these waters, like rose water, like water soaked in rose petals, and then just straining them and using the water as like a scent. So yeah, I've been working with herbs in many different ways. And for CBD, it's the same. So I've been ingesting CBD, but when you didn't have the pleasure oil yet, I would use my CBD oil on my menstrual cup on the outside, and I would definitely feel like a huge difference.
Beautiful.
And I've also added CBD to belly massage oil, or I would blend shea butter with CBD to give myself belly massage during my period.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like while research, is still catching up, but so many people are saying it helps them ease menstrual discomfort, dial down inflammation. So yeah, and even with hormones, I'm not an expert in that, but it's supposed to balance that a bit as well. So I can really imagine how it can ease PMS and menstrual cramps.
Yeah, and with that, I think it all dials down again to this endocannabinoid system. If we encourage homeostasis in the body,
Yeah.
we also create more leverage in the body to optimally function in a way that it is meant to function.
Yeah, and I think it starts with what you're saying, and your mission is about that we respect our own cycle. Our monthly cycle, but also the cycles in life, when you're going through menopause when you're older, even before the premenopause phase, and all those cycles in your life. If you start with respecting that, then I think things like herbs, CBD can be a really nice ally, like one of the tools in your toolkit, but it starts with that, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I was also wondering whether you could, to round off, whether we could speak a little bit about where to start, because I can imagine people are getting really inspired as they listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe speak a little bit to, if people want to work with CBD, where do they start? What would you recommend?
I think it's good to begin with to know what your intention is, or if you have any complaints. Do you have a mental complaints? Do you have anxiety, or do you have more than one complaint? And then I think what everyone needs is like a quiz. I'm going to work on that so I can really guide people, from, okay, so this is my situation, this is my complaint, and I've never used it. All right, I'm already a pro. And then really advise people which product would be best for them. Because it's really, a lot of the times, it's not one product. So people come to me and they will tell me, so I'm a mother and I have a lot of stress from motherhood, but I also still experience vaginal dryness, severe period pain after labor. The first periods after labor can be very, very almost traumatic.
Mm,
So that's a combination already of mental problems, mental complaints, and reproductive things. So then I would definitely advise not just the droplets that can help with mood swings and hormonal disbalances and anxiety, but also something like peach and love, which helps with vaginal dryness and which can ease you into intimacy again
mm, yeah.
with your partner, or self intimacy, which is also very important and really awkward at first after labor.
Mm,
And then probably a bath bomb would also be really good for you at times, when you have the time. So it's really a combination. But I think when it comes to the supplement, the droplets, if you're really, really new and you never used CBD before and you're living healthy, I would definitely tell people to start with the lowest percentage, 5%, 500 milligrams.
yeah.
And if you're confident enough, and you'll order it, and then you'll get a manual that really guides you into finding your own sweet spot. Because everybody is different, and it's really about how finding what works for you. Yeah, I think in general, the wisdom is always just start low and find your sweet spot. And also, I think that's the most important thing when you're new, find a reputable brand, check their lab tests. A good brand always has CBD that is tested by a third party, an independent party, another lab, so not in house. And it should be tested on a lot of markers. And usually, a lot of brands that are selling cheaper CBD, they don't test, or they test just on the CBD THC ratio. But you have to also test on all these other markers to find if there's heavy metals, fungi, pesticides, herbicides, all that stuff. And to test that, it's really expensive. So the CBD can never be cheap then in the end. So that's very important. And there's a difference also between full spectrum, broad spectrum, and isolate. And I would always recommend not to go for isolate, because that's isolated CBD, but then you miss all the other benefits of all the other cannabinoids, such as CBG, CBN, and all the others, the whole alphabet. So definitely always go for full or broad spectrum. It's kind of vague. In the Netherlands, it's all broad spectrum, but we label it as full spectrum because you still have all the cannabinoids, and THC is taken out, but to begin with, it was present. So that's why you should start if you're new to CBD. And if that's all super overwhelming, just go to healmary.nl, read some articles in our journal, which is our blog, drop me a DM, and yeah, I'll advise you, I'll guide you through it. I will work on that quiz as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for clarifying that, because I feel that, when people know what to look for, they can also make an empowered, informed decision
Exactly.
and really choose the best product for their bodies, because there's a lot of crap out there. It's the same with supplementation. Like, people just go to their local random store and buy like supplements for €1. And I'm like, no, please don't do that.
It's too kruidvat for a multivitamin.
Yeah.
Oh, I made that mistake as well, but luckily I went through someone who helped me and pointed out the differences. Orthomolecular therapy is very good for that. Yeah.
And I'm very happy that you're so skilled in this for CBD. So for everybody who is listening, buy high grade CBD and you'll invest a little bit more money, but you'll have a high quality product that will in turn support your body better and will be a better ally for your journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it. And also don't be shy to explore other holistic practices and self-care rituals. It's just one tool in the toolbox.
Yeah, I think that's an important one too, that we know and understand that CBD is just one of the many that can be in our toolbox and that we can use in various instances. And it's not a quick fix. It's not, it's something that will erase all your problems. It's a support. It's a herbal ally. And I feel we should treat it in that way with respect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Is there any last wisdom you want to share with our listeners before we close off? Because I know we can talk about this for hours, like we vibe on the same level.
Definitely.
And we also have to close out at some point.
No, maybe I think because probably listeners who follow you are also interested in how a mother's body, so placenta and CBD work together, how doulas work with cannabis. Maybe I think there's a few people that educate on this topic a lot. There's Dr. Michelle Ross. She's a neuroscientist within this field, women's bodies and psychedelics and CBD. And I'm enrolled in her course about motherhood and cannabis. And I'm going to write more articles about that. But in general, I would really want to tell mothers and women not to be afraid and, give the plant a chance. Actually, that's that would be the main message.
I love that. I will definitely make sure to mention this person in the show notes so people can definitely go and check it out because I trust your judgment and you're enrolled in a course, so it must be good. I will also share all of your contact information. Maybe you can share with the people what is the best way to find you on socials and your website.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure to also include that.
Definitely. So it's healmary.nl and where the handle was taken. So it's the real Heal Mary on Instagram. I'm not sure if we're shadow banned at this point, but it's kind of hard to find. You can also mention my personal Instagram. It's also in my bio. And you can DM, email, whatever. It all comes in the same inbox and we will definitely read it and answer you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I will also, for all of my listeners, I will share a discount code in the show notes so you can get your own high quality CBD from Shinta.
Definitely.
And I just want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of this wisdom with us because I feel it will bring people a lot of clarity on this topic.
I hope so. And thank you for listening. You were really listening. I love that. Not a lot of people do that.
You're welcome. When I'm into a topic, it's also part of my ADHD brain, I think. When something really interests me, I want to know everything.
Well, I'm shaking your hand then, because I also have ADHD brain. Yeah, it helps, for if we're interested based, right? So
yeah,
hyper focus, yay.
Yeah. For hyper focus for the win.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing everything with us. And I'm sure people will find this very valuable.
I really hope so.
And useful for their lives.
And if they have additional questions, just let me know.
Okay. Have a beautiful day.
You as well.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, with your friends, with your family, post about it on social media, or leave a rating or a review on all the platforms. To catch all the latest news from me, you can follow at the Planting Seeds Podcast on Instagram or at Cycle Seeds on Instagram, or you can go to my website www.cycleseeds.com. Thank you again so much, and I'll see you next time.